So we're up to the last part of this webinar, and this is really talking about the implementation and how you should implement everything that we've talked about previously. So the best way to explain this or to show how we can do it is by using a case study. One of the case studies that we are using is the Allergan My Healthy Living website. After you've logged into My Healthy Living, this is the screen that you do see. It is customised to the person that is there. It is also looking at your start weight, your new weight, and what your goal weight is. So there is that constant reminder around what a patient should be experiencing. There are also some readings that are relevant and tailored to you, depending on where you are in your journey and how long it is actually taking you to get there. But when you do sign up for the My Healthy Living, you do go through a registration process where you add all your contact details. You also look at the level of support communication. So whether you want to opt in for SMS reminders, email reminders, or opt in for weight update SMS reminders. There's also a number of different profile setups and things that need to be added into this. So this is a great place where you can actually go to understand what level of detail or what data you can be capturing on your patients. If you have a look at the different details and the data that's being collected, it talks about everyday physical activity, giving them the option for radio buttons rather than them actually having to write it or think about what the responses are. This also helps with making sure that the data you collect is consistent. Exercise frequency, the type of exercises you are doing. So there's really only three questions around that, but that's enough to give you an insight into what type of person they are and what type of exercise you should be recommending. Keeping track of your weight loss. So this is, making sure that you do have a date that you do weigh in on. The goals and motivations. So this is where you are actually listing what is your goal weight. And obviously this is, the weight that has been discussed with the clinic and also with the doctor. Reasons for the motivation, so what they are, and then also the motivations for them to lose weight. So not many details, but it does give you a lot of insights into your patients and what they are expecting. Reasons for the motivation, so what they are, and then also the motivations for them to lose weight. So not many details, but it does give you a lot of insights into your patients and what they are expecting. So anything else we should know really does talk about the health conditions and research studies. So are you interested in being part of any research? So that's great, even for the clinics, if you do want to go and ask your potential patients some insights or things that they've found useful or things that they don't recommend doing. This is where you do have the opportunity to go and ask them that. And then the last step is making sure that you do have or do give your doctor and the clinic access to the information that you're capturing. This is basically an online journal and an online diary for the people to record what food, what exercise, what recipes that they are using and making sure that they are getting the most out of it. Everything is customizable and everything has a purpose depending on what information you did put in there. Within the diet, it does actually allow you to enter in here your daily diet and what you have been eating. Within the diet as well, and if you look at what the recommendations are for what they have been eating, recipes is a great way where the recipes or some recipes can actually be showcased or seen, as well as the patients can input their activity and their level of exercise. So this is on a daily basis, very similar to the diet. The diet and eating is what are they doing from an activity perspective. So within here, you can actually see your daily diet, your activity and exercise, and then any readings that are relevant to them, and then the motivations. So what are the things that really are going to keep these people focused and motivated for doing it? So you've seen My Healthy Living, and this is a website that does collect a lot of data about patients, but that data is actually used to make sure that that experience is enhanced. If I was to break it down into what are the short-term things, the medium and the long-term, or the 30, 60 and 90-day improvements, this is what I would say for My Healthy Living. So the short-term updates, the 30 days. So review the content. So because it is a website, we can see what areas of the site people are using, But then also go and have a look and make sure that people are opening their emails, that they are actually looking at the SMSs. So the first step is really review. Make sure that you are reviewing everything and make sure that you are looking at it. Integration is making sure that the web and the other communications are actually interlaced and integrated. Life cycle messages is so if someone has used it in their first 3 months but hasn't used it in the next 3 months, what is the communication process going to be to get that lapsed person back using the site? Review the results and past success, and then recommend optimization. So this would be to the content and also that messaging that is there. So after we've done that initial review, recommend and make those planned adjustments. Next thing that I would look at in the medium term, or the 60 days, is the message frequency. How often are we actually sending a communication or a message out to people? Is it too frequent or is it not frequent enough? Survey to the base. So go and survey and make sure that we are providing the right information and the right content to these people at the right time. This is a great tool that you can use as clinics, is talking to those people, whether it is an online survey or even pick up the phone and talk to them to make sure that they are getting the right information out at the right time. Segmentation. So look at the different audiences, see how the overachievers or the people who aren't actually getting the results, what's the different messages that you do go and send out to each of those audiences. Refresh the data. So because it is, the data hasn't been refreshed, how do we make sure that the data is cleansed? And, a survey to the base is definitely one way of doing that. Then review and then recommend optimization. And you'll see that this is definitely part of that test and that learning phase that does need to be ongoing. Then the last thing is, once we've done the review, we've asked the base what they actually want to change, we would change the data. So change the content, change the message, change the messages and when we are actually pushing them out to people. Also make sure that the data is refreshed, so constantly getting that in there and getting it into our thought process, and then review and recommend those ongoing changes. So that cycle is constantly happening and it doesn't go away. Very simply, with the ongoing communications, is making sure that the audience and the data that you've got on that audience is actually relevant. The frequency of communication, set up some rules. Is it that you only communicate to people once a month? Or do you actually communicate to them on a daily basis if they need that constant reminder not to eat those bad things? The content, where people are at in their lifestyle or their life cycle. So what content needs to be communicated throughout that process. So in regards to content, it is also looking at personalised communication. So making sure that you are not sending out one size fits all, and that there is messages and content out there for those specific audience groups that you have identified. With design, it's looking at the templates that you have designed, but one of the most important things that people forget about is the subject line. So with emails, the subject line is really important. Most people respond to an email within 48 hours, so you don't have a huge opportunity to actually gather their interest and their excitement. Results, looking at all the results from the communications, and I think this is one of the most interesting because you can tell what messages are working when. And then technology. We have gone through the tools and some of the technology that you can use, so just make sure that you are looking and reviewing that too.